Hey guys, I'm CMA Super and welcome to another Company of Heroes 2 multiplayer video. So, as you can see, this is not a replay. This is actually a live gameplay. It's not live commentary, but it is live gameplay. And that is because there was an update yesterday from the day you're watching this. It was today as the day I'm recording this. And it added two new maps, which are not being shown in this video because this was played before the update. But it had two new maps and made a whole bunch of changes, and as a result, the replay is corrupted, and this is why I record the live gameplay even if I don't show it to you guys. It's times like these where you can't go back to the old version of the game because we're using Steam, and Steam sucks. So instead of being able to watch the replay, it's corrupted, no longer usable, and I have to use the live gameplay, which is not really a big deal in terms of being a negative big deal. I know a lot of you wanted to see some live gameplay from Company of Heroes 2 from me, so here you go. This is it, and it's probably going to be kind of bad because the advantage of me doing replays is that I can look at something and find out the answer to a question I have instead of needing to guess at it like I do with the live commentary because I can't go to my opponent's point of view, see what he's doing, or see how much a unit costs or something like that. Although I do have the unit costs kind of down at this point. Actually, that's not true at all. I don't have any vehicle unit costs down. I'm not even sure about the German half-track. But anyways, I'm rambling now. So as you can see, I am playing as the Germans. My opponent is the Russians. And we are playing on Moscow outskirts. And in this particular game, it's a classic example of how Company of Heroes 2 was made to be. It's made so that the battlefield goes back and forth and back and forth. As we all know, that's how it's designed to be with the upkeep system and the counter system, and it's designed to be a back and forth game where even if you push your opponent all the way into their base, they can still come back and win the game. Unlike in Company of Heroes 1, where that was very, very rare to happen. If you pushed your opponent back into their base, they pretty much lost at that point. It would be very rare to see them come back. But in Company of Heroes 2, it happens quite often. And so this game was really a classic case of how Company of Heroes 2 was made to be. It just keeps going back and forth on the map. So if you even watch only the mini-map in this game and you don't look at the rest of the screen, which you'd be a little crazy to do that, but if you did, you would see the borders, the map borders, territory borders going back and forth across the minimap. And in fact, at the end of the game, or the end of the video really, I'm going to show you the graphs that you are given in Company of Heroes 2, which are awesome. They're awesome graphs. I am so glad they're in the game, but I'm going to show you those graphs, and it's rather funny how they look. It cracked me up when I saw them when I was playing this live. So yeah, that's a nice long introduction to into the video. I am 3 minutes into the video already, and I have talked zero strategy so far. So as you can see, at the top right, I have two Grenadier squads, an MG, and a mortar, and then obviously my first Pioneer squad, and that might seem a little strange to you, the fact that I only have one Pioneer squad, and I have not lost my other one yet because I never actually built the other one. I only had the one Pioneer squad, I never built a second one, which is a bit weird for me. Seeing as I come from Company of Heroes 1. But in Company of Heroes 2, it seems to be working out far better for me to only have the one Pioneer squad and not a second one in the early game. In the mid and late game, it makes sense to have two, but not in the early game because the Russians get conscripts out of their Tier 0 building, their HQ, and your pioneers cannot really stand up to the conscripts. They even have trouble standing up to engineers. So, yeah, look at this Faust right here. Never drive a scout car next to grenadiers, even if you intend to fry them to pieces. They can Faust you before they have to retreat. And here you can see I'm trying to kill the thing, but I'm failing at it, and then he gets a critical, and I have to retreat so I don't lose the whole squad. But as I was saying, the Russians get the conscripts and engineers and their HQ, while the Germans get pioneers in their HQ and grenadiers in Tier 1. Now, the German pioneers cannot stand up to the Russian conscripts or the Russian engineers, really. I mean, they'll sometimes win against engineers, but usually they won't. So, as a as a way to deal with that, I don't build a second engineer squad, or rather pioneer squad as the Germans. I instead just build tier 1 and then get a grenadier squad out early, and then by the time the first grenadier squad is done building, I can practically build a second unit, whatever it may be, whether it's another grenadier squad or an MG or a mortar or whatever you choose. I believe in this game I went with another grenadier squad. That's usually what I do when I am doing a 1 pioneer start, because I do want 3 capping units. Normally if I had 2 pioneers, I'd have 1 go left, 1 go right, and then the first grenadier squad goes into the middle, and all 3 squads capture points. But when I have 1 pioneer squad, I then still need 3 capping units, because that's just what I like to have. It feels like a good amount to have. So I go with 2 grenadier squads and a single pioneer squad. So I believe that's what I did this game. I'm not really sure because I wasn't watching as I was doing that intro, but I am pretty sure that's what I did this game. And I think it's a really good start as the Germans. It really helps you out against the conscripts, because grenadiers can just hold their own against the conscripts as long as the conscripts don't come charging in with oorah. If they do that, you're kind of screwed unless you have support, which is one reason that you kind of have to focus on your territory when it comes to playing Germans in the early game, because you do need support for your grenadiers. So here we can see I have built a scout car. I did a fast tech to tier 2, or really it's not too fast of a tech, but it is 6 minutes in, so it's kind of a fast tech to tier 2. And I have upgraded the scout car with the autocannon, whatever millimeter it may be. I think it's like 20. I know 20 was really common in World War II and is still pretty common these days, I believe. So I believe it's a 20. I don't actually know what it is, but it has the autocannon upgrade, and I got it specifically to counter the scout car. I didn't really need it because even a half-track would counter the scout car, or his scout car, that is. But I didn't want to get a half-track because I figured the autocannon on my scout car would counter his scout car better and prevent him from getting away. But as you can see here, he is running away successfully, and I'm actually not going to kill him here unless I get lucky. I cannot remember. I do not remember if I got lucky or not, but we will have to find out together. Trying to chase it. I really should have gone left here, I think. Hey, achievement, Infantry Production 1. I have no idea what that achievement means. No idea whatsoever. And it appears that I lost his scout car. So I just told him to stop there. I don't want to enter his base with my scout car because his MGs will rip me up as I'm entering. And then whatever he has inside his base will just kill the scout car. So I don't want to go into his base and end up losing it, especially because of that autocannon that I upgraded. Panzer Grenadiers, my first Panzer Grenadier squad for this game. I like Panzer Grenadiers a lot. I find myself Grenadier spamming every once in a while because they're called Grenadiers, and in Company of Heroes 1, one of the best Wehrmacht strategies was to Grenadier spam. So I find myself Grenadier spamming every once in a while in this game, but I'm trying to force myself to buy more Panzer Grenadiers, which are 50% more expensive. They're 360 manpower compared to the 240 for a Grenadier squad. But the Panzer Grenadiers get Panzer Shreks, which are really good in the early game for countering any T-70 rushes or T-34 rushes by your opponent, or even scout cars, really, by your opponent. And they're really good at tearing up infantry if you don't give them the Panzer Shrek upgrade, because if you do give them the Panzer Shrek upgrade, they get 50% damage because they get 2 Panzer Shreks, and 50% damage is not enough to beat any squad in the game. They'll even lose against engineers, I'm pretty sure, once you have the Panzer Shrek upgrade. So it's something you have to think about. Now, there was one thing I was consciously making sure of myself about doing in this game at this point, and that was I was making sure not to buy LMG-42s on my Grenadier squads. And the reason for that was I have lost so many games as the Germans by upgrading an LMG-42, and then a T-70 appears and I don't have munitions for Panzer Shreks, and I don't have manpower for a pack, because 360 manpower is quite expensive. And as a result, the T-70 has free reign other than my Panzerfausts, but Panzerfausts are kind of expensive. I believe they are 25 or 40 munitions. But either way, I mean, that is a big range, but either way, that's still pretty expensive for what they do. They'd only slow down the T-70. They're not really going to kill it. They don't do that much damage. It's really... Panzerfausts are good for engine damage. That is about it. They're not good for killing units. So I've lost so many games because of that, by buying LMG-42s and then not having munitions for the Panzerschrecks, or not having munitions for the medic bunker in my HQ, which I have built, and I have paid for that. It costs 60 munitions, and here you can see I'm looking at the Panzerschrecks like, okay, it's about time that I do need Panzerschrecks, so let's think about saving up some munitions for the Panzerschrecks. As you can see in the top right, I do have an LMG-42 on one of my Grenadier squads, but I only have it on one. I don't have it on multiple squads, which is something I found myself doing a lot because the LMG-42s are just really good against infantry. I never really found myself building LMG-42s as the Wehrmacht in Company of Heroes 1, but I build them all the time in Company of Heroes 2. It's kind of weird. I guess it's because you need a tier 3 in Company of Heroes 1, but you don't need that in Company of Heroes 2. And there goes one of my MGs, my only MG, really. So here I'm wishing I had Panzerschrecks on this Panzer Grenadier squad. I'm kinda wishing I hadn't upgraded that one LMG-42. I mean, it's better than the two I was normally doing in every game, and then losing to T-70s or a scout car. But in this case, one was too many, because I do want to deal with that scout car. It's so annoying. But I was really hoping that small arms fire or my scout car would take care of it, but sadly that's not the case, so I did spend the munitions on the LMG-42. Maybe I shouldn't have. If you do look at the top of the screen, though, I have all 3 victory points, and my opponent's points are counting down really, really fast, because that's what they do when your opponent has 3 of the victory points. And now my opponent has gotten guards, rifle, infantry, and those things are good against light vehicles, such as my scout car. As you can see, they're doing a number on it, and I failed to micro it because I was too busy doing something else, somewhere else in the map. So I lost my scout car, and he backed away from my Panzer Grenadiers because he knows that guards rifle suck against infantry. They're good against light vehicles, but they suck against infantry, even with the DP light machine gun upgrade. Once they get that, they're only decent. They're not, like, really good. So that kinda sucked for me. I lost the scout car for no gain, and here I'm losing my Panzer Grenadier squad. And my opponent's taking some territory on the map, so I had the advantage kind of in the early game there, but now it appears to be dwindling and I'm starting to go on the disadvantage. Look at this Grenadier versus the engineers that my opponent has here. I don't remember who won this battle, but I'm pretty sure he did. It's kind of interesting because I have an LMG-42 and I'm Vet 1, which doesn't really matter. But I think I was losing that battle, but then a half-track shows up, so that was all good. And now we can see I have Panzerschrecks. Yes. I can finally counter the scout car that my opponent has, as well as a T-70 if he decides to go for that, or a T-34 if he decides to go for that. If he decides to go for an ISU-152, I believe it's called, or an SU-85. Oh gosh, it's one of the two. Maybe it's the SU-85. Whatever tank destroyer you get from tier 4 is the Russians. This is where a replay would be helpful so I can look at it, but if he does decide to go for that, those things suck against infantry, so my Panzerschrecks will also be able to deal with that. The only thing they won't be able to deal with is a whole bunch of anti-infantry tanks, such as a whole bunch of T-70s or a whole bunch of T-34s. That's really all they wouldn't be able to deal with. So it's always worth spending the 120 munitions on a Panzerschreck squad, because I just find them to be so good. And here we can even see him in action. He's intentionally losing the half-track, or the scout car really. It just looks like a half-track. I don't know why he did that, but he did. He did manage to kill one of my squads though. I think it was a Grenadier squad, so that was not good. But at least I killed his scout car. Although he did end up winning in that. Maybe that's why he lost it. Because he decided to stay and kill my Grenadier squad because it would be a gain for him. The scout car for him only costs like 80 manpower, and my Grenadier squad costs 240. So that's definitely a win for him in terms of manpower. In terms of fuel, it's a loss because it costs 20 fuel for the scout car, I believe. Maybe 15. Something like that. But it does cost some fuel. A decent amount of fuel, so it is a loss for him in terms of fuel, but a loss for me in terms of manpower. And manpower is what wins and loses games, so it's overall a loss for me. I guess it was smart of him to stay there, although he did lose veterancy out of it. So now we can see that I am building tier 4? Yeah, tier 4. That's what I built. Oh yeah, of course that's what I built. I forgot I built that one unit out of it, but you'll see why I built it later on. The reason, I guess I'll go ahead and tell you some of it, is because I wanted to get a Panther in case a T-34 showed up. And guess what shows up right now? T-34. So I decided to get a Panther in case the T-34 showed up. That's what shows up now. And so I am trying to get my Panzerschreck squad to be able to shoot it. I was trying to hide it behind all that foliage in the middle of the map, but sadly he saw the foliage, saw through the foliage, so he saw my Panzerschreck squad, and as a result he didn't go blindly charging into my Panzerschreck squad. And as you can see, I did get 2 squads of it, because I just really want the anti-tank. Because I am seriously fearing vehicles right now. I mean, before this particular game, like I said, I had lost so many German games because of Russians coming out with the vehicles and me not having a counter to them. In this case, it's the complete opposite. I have 2 Panzerschreck squads, and I'm planning on getting a Panther. So I'm about to have plenty of counters to my opponent's vehicles, and it will be absolutely great. As for countering his infantry, because I still need to counter that, I can't just counter his tanks and be good to go. It's not how the game works. But for countering his infantry, I am intending to use Grenadiers and Panzer Grenadiers, because the Panzer Grenadiers are better at close range, Grenadiers are good at long range, and the Grenadiers can get the LMG-42, which does cost, oh gosh, I don't even know how much it costs in terms of munitions. I feel like it's 75, but that was the cost in Company of Heroes 1, and I'm pretty sure that is wrong. So once again, a time of replay would be helpful. I do not know this game inside out like I know Company of Heroes 1, which is one of the reasons my Company of Heroes 1 videos were so good, is because I do know the game inside out. Company of Heroes 2 I'm still learning, so replays would be nice, but oh well. This is still a very good replacement. If I didn't think it was a good replacement, I would never record my live gameplay after all, right? So I'm not like lying to you guys and telling you that the video is good, even though I don't think it is. I do still think it's good that I'm doing live video. So, looking at the top right, you can see that I do have a half-track. It's at half health, but I do have a half-track, and that's so I can reinforce in the field, obviously. I'm not really concerned about mobile capturing of points. It's one thing you can use a half-track for, but it's not really something I'm concerned about. So I'm not intending to like put a unit in there and go capturing points around the map faster than my opponent can chase me down. That's something some people do with the half-track, but it's not something I was wanting to do with the half-track. I was just wanting to have a reinforcement point, somewhere in a mobile reinforcement point, really. I was somewhere in the map wherever the fighting is going on. And so I didn't want to do like a reinforcing bunker, whatever that thing is called, where you build a bunker and then you select the reinforcing option as one of the 3 options the bunker can be. I just wanted a half-track instead, so I went with the half-track. It also costs less manpower for the half-track, I believe. I believe a bunker is 150. I'm not too sure about that, though, because that was the cost in Company of Heroes 1 as well, and I'm pretty sure all the costs are different in Company of Heroes 2. I don't remember thinking any of the costs are the same. I don't know. But as you can see, in the middle, or not in the middle, if you look at the mini-map, at the early game I had a huge map control advantage over my opponent, and then he pushed me back and got the middle VP, and now I am pushing him back once again. I'm getting the middle VP. I'm kind of focusing on the middle and left parts of the map, not so much the right side, because the right side is harder for me to attack and defend from where my base is. So I'm only focusing on the middle and the left mostly. You'll see me go to the right every once in a while, but not too much. So we now have artillery from my opponent. He has on-map artillery, which means that I won't see smoke as it's coming, but I can hear it in the fog of war, and I know it's exactly, well, I know where it is. I don't know how to describe it, but I know exactly where it is on the map, because so many people seem to build artillery right there, and I also saw it on the mini-map, so I know exactly where it is. I just don't know how to describe it, but it says it's at one of his left exits from his base. Left from my base, that is, not from his base. So I know exactly where it is, and I want to deal with it, but I know that I can't really deal with it either, because while I do have a decent force, I don't want to send my whole force and attack his artillery, because that just won't go well in all likelihood. If he's confident in building artillery, he probably has a decent force to where The artillery is well defended, so if I go attack it, I'm probably going to lose. So I don't want to just go attack it blindly. I just rather dodge the artillery. So now if you look at the minimap, you can see that my opponent is once again taking points on the left side of the map, so I'm getting kind of pushed back on the left side. I'm just holding the middle, really, and that's something I have fallen into on this map, Moscow Outskirts. And I don't know why, but I just really seem to focus on the middle, and then I'll lose the left and the right and have to try and get them back, and I'll have them for maybe, I don't know, 2 minutes at a time, and then my opponent will take it for 2 minutes, and I'll have it for 2 minutes, and then he'll have it for 2 minutes, and it just keeps trading off like that. But the middle I tend to keep, or at least one point I tend to keep on this map. It's usually the middle, though. Earlier in the game it was the left side at one point, but it's not the case right now. So, as you can see, I have rebuilt the half-track scout car, because I lost my first one. And one of the reasons I decided to rebuild it was for more anti-tank. You might be thinking, that's a little weird considering the scout car is not an anti-tank vehicle. But in fact it is, actually. It can beat a T-70. It actually can beat a T-70. I've seen it happen. The scout car upgraded can beat a T-70. So I was just really focusing on the anti-tank here. I even bought the Panther, as you can see, which I was planning on buying for quite a while. It took a little while to get the fuel to afford it, but once I could afford it, I bought it, and I'm getting rammed. That ability annoys me. It annoys me so much. I'm glad it disables the T-34 worse than it disables the Panther, or whatever he rams, but that ability still just annoys me. So I was like, really? You took away my only source of AT on the field right now. Well, at least I have a pack. That was smart thinking on my part. I'm glad I built more AT, because apparently I'm going to need it. I was just so focused on AT right now. As you can see, I'm trying to repair the Panther, and I'm having the pack shoot at the T-34. There's a satchel, or something. I'm pretty sure that was a satchel under the half-track. It killed the pack, killed the half-track. I now have 0 AT on the field. I'm trying to repair the Panther. I was really hoping the gun would get repaired before anything else. That was not the case, though. The gun is the last thing to get repaired because we're dealing with stupid pioneers. I don't know why we are not using intelligent people in our wars. We're using the stupid ones who think a gun is not important. Is not an important part of the tank. So I don't know what's up with that, but they don't want to repair the gun. So they died to infantry, opponent's infantry. And my Panther is stuck just simply backing up, hoping it doesn't get penetrated. And before my Panther even gets repaired, the two Panzerschreck squads, the Panzer Grenadier squads with Panzerschrecks, are back on the field after being reinforced. They're both vet 2. I remanned my pack, so that was good. And his half-track is dead with the upgraded quad cannon, quad machine gun thingy. And now he's kind of charging me with the Vet 3 Guards rifles, and I do mean kind of charging me. He wasn't quite charging me, but he wasn't quite staying back either. He was kind of charging me. And that didn't go so well for him because they suck against infantry, and 2 Panzer Grenadier squads are the equivalent of 1 Panzer Grenadier squad, because it's 4 men with the MP44s. And as a result, he got annihilated by those 2 squads of mine. The 2 Panzerschreck squads. Now you will notice the artillery is firing, and you may have heard a vehicle get destroyed a little bit earlier once the artillery started firing. And that was my Panther dying. My Panther died to his artillery as well as the pack. I believe the pack got completely destroyed by it. So that artillery is really, really strong. He used it really well. He lost a T-34 and he lost a half-track and a lot of infantry at the cost of taking some of my infantry that I can still reinforce, but some of my infantry and a Panther and a pack. So I don't know who won that at all. I have no idea. Seems pretty balanced in my head based on the generalization I just made. I don't know the details of how many people were lost and stuff like that. But it seemed pretty balanced, and I managed to retain the middle of the map, but I have fallen into my own trap. As you can see, I don't have the left side of the map or the right side of the map. I only have the middle. So he has once again pushed me back, and I'm only holding the middle, something I seem to catch myself doing so often in this map. I don't know why. Have I ever played from the northern part of this map? I just now realized that. I don't think I've ever played from the northern part of this map. I might be wrong, but I can't remember ever playing as it. I don't know. Maybe if I played as the northern part, I would never have this happen. Maybe, maybe not. Who knows? But I have fallen into my own trap of only having the middle. So here we can see, well, I guess we can't see anymore, but it's Vet 2 Grenadiers versus a Guards Rifle Infantry squad, and it's not going so well for him. He did grenade me, and it killed one of my men, but it's still going worse for him. So Guards Rifle Infantry are really not good at all against infantry. They're only good against light vehicles. And they're also expensive, I think. No, they're not 480. Shock troops are 480. Maybe 360 manpower. I don't know. Once again, a replay would be nice, but oh well. So as you can see, my opponent is pushing me back once again. Not really much I can do about it, though. I mean, I do have, like, bundle grenades, but these are both Panzerschreck squads, and Panzerschreck squads are not too strong, and he just annihilated one of my squads. That was a huge blow. I'm pretty sure it was even vetted. I think it had vet 2, so that was a bad thing for me. I was really just hoping to stay and do more damage, but one of the biggest tips I can give you guys, and this is something I learned a long time ago in Company of Heroes 1, but I don't seem to be applying in this game, is don't fight a battle you can't win. You'll take manpower loss, you'll take more manpower loss than your opponent will, and you'll just end up hurting yourself in the long run by doing that. And you'll make yourself lose the game by doing that. So don't fight a battle you can't win. It's not worth it. That was a battle I couldn't win, and I stayed and fought, and I ended up losing a whole Panzer Grenadier squad for 360 manpower, and I did practically nothing to him. I think I could kill 2 men out of one of his squads, so it was not worth doing at all. As you can see on the left side here, I do have a Pioneer squad capturing points, and I'm trying to lure his infantry away from the territory that I own, my territory, because I just want to make him not capture my territory on the left side while I focus on the middle and try to get it back, because as you can see, I have lost the middle VP. I had it earlier, but I'm trying to get it back now. And in the meantime, I lost my Pioneer squad. That seems to happen pretty often to me in this game. I just lose squads for no reason. I don't know why. That's a failure of mine. If you look on the minimap, though, I have gotten the right VP, but it's not going to last for very long. My opponent is taking it. That's what the circle around it means. So I'm going to be triple capped here pretty soon unless I can capture the middle VP, which I am going for. I managed to successfully push back my opponent in the middle. But if you look at the minimap, it's basically I'm capturing the middle, and he's going around the left and right and capturing those points. So I am once again falling into my own trap of trying to keep the middle or trying to protect the middle. And it's not gonna work out for me. Yeah, it never does work out. That's why I'm saying it. It's not because I know the future. I actually don't know what happens here. But I can guarantee it won't work out for me. It never does. Just holding the middle of a map does not work out. You have to hold the middle and the left or right. Having the middle will just help you capture the left or the right, if you're good enough. But in my case, I would not say that I'm good enough. If you do look at the top right of the screen, though, if you look at my 2 Grenadier squads that are Vet 3, they're Vet 3! That's what I wanted to mention, is the fact that they're Vet 3. So they are really good squads, and I do want to keep them alive as best as I can. I didn't actually realize I even had Vet 3 squads at this point. I am just thinking, I gotta get map control so I don't get triple capped and I can actually win this game. That would sure be nice to actually win a game as the Germans. Because, like I said, oh wow, that's a satchel. I'm glad I dodged that. But as I said, I had lost a lot of games as the Germans because I found myself, or not found myself, but I started off with 2 Pioneer squads rather than 1, and I also bought too many LMG 42s and they got countered by T-70s and T-34s. So I was wanting to win this one for sure. This was not the first game that I was using the strategy, by the way. This was just, it was like the 3rd game, I believe, where I was using this single Pioneer strategy and not building too many LMG 42s. So I had actually won one of the first 2 games I played with this strategy, and then this was the 3rd one, I believe. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. It's not like I can prove... You can't prove me right or wrong, but that's what I think it is. Nobody can prove me right or wrong there. Not even myself. So I am focusing kind of on the right side here. You can see that I'm severely pushed back on the map. If you look at the mini-map, I have 1, 2, 3, I have 3 points connected to my base. That is it. I don't have very much at all connected to my base. So, really, a satchel charge. Okay, so my opponent knows my micro is really bad here. He knows that it's so bad, and he can just throw a satchel charge and possibly kill my squad. Or really probably kill my squad. So, he's throwing satchels with long timers at my squads, even though it's costing him quite a few munitions. I don't know how much it costs, but it does cost quite a few munitions. But as the Russians, you do have way more munitions than you need to use, so he can afford the satchels. But yeah, he is throwing satchels to try and kill full squads, and it was working out well for him earlier in the game. But that's going to change here soon, I think. We'll see together. So, I am capturing some map back. I do have the middle back. I'm capturing the left side. I'm missing the 1 point at the very, very bottom of the map, but I do have the rest of the left side. And in the middle, I am defending. My opponent is trying to capture the middle VP, but he is not because he is pinned. One difference, well, I guess that's not a difference between Company of Heroes 1 or Company of Heroes 2. But one thing in Company of Heroes 2 is that if you're pinned, you cannot capture points, which is the same way it was in Company of Heroes 1. Did I just lose that full squad? Oh my gosh. I suck at dodging things, apparently. It was even right in front of my screen, and I failed to dodge it. But, as I was saying, if you're pinned, you cannot capture a point, and my opponent was pinned, but now he's just killing off this MG squad, so I tell it to retreat, and I would have the Panzer Grenadier squad in the middle kill all of his infantry, but I can't because they have Panzer Shreks, and the Panzer Shreks mean that they're at 50% effectiveness, and this is not going well for them, so they end up retreating as well as the MG. And we can see a whole bunch of artillery in the middle. So my opponent is using artillery quite effectively. Now you will notice, possibly, that I have another Panther on the field. I lost my first one to artillery, and now I have another one. And I'm hoping not to lose it to artillery once again, because right now it is my only form of anti-tank on the field. I do have a Panzer Grenadier squad, but it's retreating, or at least it was retreating. It's sitting in the base currently, getting healed up. So I only have a Panther as anti-tank, and I actually seem to have deterred my opponent from using tanks too much right now. You may have noticed he hasn't used a T-34 or a T-70 in quite a while, at least in the middle of the map. So even though I had like 0 AT, except for Panzer Shreks, which are okay against T-34s, really good against T-70s, he was still afraid to use tanks because he figured I had a lot of AT. Even though he had killed the one of my 2 Panzer Shrek squads, he killed the pack, he killed the Panther. I really had very, very little in terms of AT. So fear is something you can use in this game, and it can be used quite effectively. If you just scare your opponent from attacking you, you can hold the map. Kind of like what happened in my previous Company of Heroes 2 video. The guy won every single battle, but he was scared to attack me for some reason, and so he didn't get very much map control until the very, very end. But as you can see there, my opponent built a Katyusha, and he sent it to the middle of the map, and my Panther one-shotted the Katyusha. That was awesome. I was so happy when I saw that, because it's just completely wasted resources for my opponent. I'm pretty sure that Katyusha did not even get 1 kill. I think my opponent had actually set a waypoint somewhere close to the middle of the map for that building, and he forgot about the Katyusha, and so he lost that Katyusha the same way I lost one of my T-34s in the previous Company of Heroes 2 video. So I was so happy when I saw that. I'm not the only one who makes those waypoint mistakes, if that's even what he did there. Who knows? As we can see here, my opponent does have an ISU. No, it's not an ISU. It's an SU-85, I believe. And I Panzerfaust it, so its engine is slowed. It's not that fast of a tank to begin with. And then my Panther, which is a pretty decently fast tank, is going to chase it down and kill it from the back because he didn't reverse his SU-85. And he instead did the stupid move of just right-clicking in his base. Now my Panther does have a damage engine. I have no idea how that happened. Maybe it was a mine. I have no idea because there's no enemy infantry nearby. But I do manage to kill the SU-85, and now my Panther is shooting at his artillery, and I was just like, yeah, I'll just leave my Panther there. You don't seem to really have any AT over here, so I'm going to hopefully keep it alive over there, even though I'm not watching it. I'm busy doing other things on the map. And it turns out my Panther no longer has line of sight on the AT gun, so I was just like, okay, really? You had it a second ago, and you didn't move since then. But it turns out my opponent turned around his artillery gun, and as a result, my Panther lost sight of it, which is kind of weird. But the AT gun, not the AT gun, the artillery gun was at just the right spot. Turning it around made me lose sight of it. That was interesting. So I moved my Panther up, and I'm shooting at the AT gun, and I see a tank over on the right side of my Panther, and I see the artillery is destroyed, so I back up my Panther, because I don't want to lose the Panther again. I cannot afford a new one very easily. It costs too much fuel and manpower. So I want to save this Panther. So I'm backing it up, and it turns out that he also decided to turn his rear to the enemy. But my opponent is too busy doing things elsewhere on the map to deal with the Panther, and as a result, his tank that was shooting at my Panther earlier is not chasing my Panther, and so my Panther is going to survive. Even though I made the mistake of showing my rear armor, I was even thinking about that at the time, and I still somehow made the mistake. I guess I right-clicked too far behind him, but even though I made the mistake, my opponent did not take advantage of it, so sucks for him. I'm glad I got to keep my Panther. And that is a Vet 3 Guards Rifle Infantry squad. Oh wow. I was not aware he had a Vet 3 squad at the time. But okay, so he has a Vet 3 Guards Rifle Infantry squad. That's a good squad. Vet 3 is very good. My Panther is once again showing its rear armor to my base, so that is good. You always want the front armor to the enemy. And I'm coming in to repair the damaged engine. The Guards Rifle Infantry actually can take out a Panther, by the way, so I was kind of scared of them, but also kind of not, because they're not going to kill a Panther that has as much health as this one does, unless I just get really unlucky. But they can kill a Panther. I have actually lost a Panther before to Guards Rifle Infantry, which is kind of weird because they have AT rifles. I just lost a Pioneer squad there, but it's kind of weird that I lost a Panther to AT rifles, because in real life AT rifles, I don't believe, could penetrate a Panther. That seems a little extreme. But now we can see my opponent's Su-85, his new one, that was shooting at my Panther earlier, has appeared, and he has once again killed my second Panther. He's once again killed my second Panther, that makes sense. He's once again killed a Panther of mine. He cannot kill my second Panther twice, because then it would be a second Panther and a third Panther. So he killed my second Panther, and that really hurts me because it costs a lot of fuel and manpower to build one. So I was just like, great. That was my main source of AT. Now the only thing I have are Panzerfausts and a single Panzerschreck squad. I don't even have enough munitions to turn one of my Panzer Grenadier squads into a Panzerschreck squad again, which is kind of a good thing. It's kind of a good thing I didn't have the munis because I need the anti-infantry currently, way more than I need the anti-tank. Now here we can see a Katyusha firing at my base because I did just retreat a lot of stuff, so he was firing at my base hoping to kill the stuff. And he does back up before my Panzerschrecks can shoot at it, sadly. I was hoping to kill it again, because it would have been nice to kill 2 Katyushas in this game, but I wasn't able to. He backed it up intelligently. Bundle grenade, and it didn't kill the whole squad. That sucked, but oh well. Hopefully I can... There we go. So he just lost an Su-85 and 2 Pioneer squads, one of which had a flamethrower, if not both of which had the flamethrower. So that is awesome. It is a good thing I could not upgrade that one squad I have selected to a Panzerschreck squad, the one that has 1 man right now, because they are the ones who are responsible for killing those Pioneers, so it's a good thing. And the Su-85 still died even without a second Panther... what? Even without a second Panzerschreck squad. There we go. So that worked out well. Yay for more artillery in the middle. It's a Katyusha firing. So here we have a Panzerschreck squad, the one and only one that I have, and I'm sending it up to find the Katyusha. Turns out the Katyusha was not where it backed up to. My opponent actually moved it somewhere else on the map. I don't remember where it was. But I just figured, hey, if it's not here, oh well, let's just capture this point. And then if you look at the minimap, there's a vehicle there of some sort, and it turns out to be the Katyusha! Oh. I was not expecting that. I thought he moved it somewhere else. Maybe he didn't, apparently. So I managed to kill it, hooray! And here's where I told him, your micro suddenly got really bad. What happened? You're not me. It was very good earlier. Those of you who have watched my Company of Heroes 1 videos, some of my older ones, kind of older ones, will know that about 20 to 25 minutes into a game, my micro gets pretty bad in Company of Heroes 1. That doesn't seem to be the case in Company of Heroes 2, though. However, for my opponent, that seems to be the case for him at the 40-minute mark, because that's where we're at currently, basically. and his micro suddenly got really, really bad. Because he lost the 2 Pioneer squads, he lost the SU-85, he lost the Katyusha, he overall lost that whole battle on every single front. Like, there were multiple fronts we were fighting on there, and he lost every single one of them. It's like he's being me from the previous game where I was losing every battle, and yet I still had map control. Except in this case, he's losing every battle, and I'm taking advantage of it because I'm not scared to advance on my opponent because I know I'm winning. So I have all 3 VPs, or I'm about to have all 3 VPs. So, actually no I won't, because he's capturing the right one and I'm capturing the left one. So I'll have 2 VPs at least. And my opponent is down to 76 VPs total, so this is going very well for me. And here we have my 3rd Panther. I upgraded the MG on top as well as the spotting scope, which, by the way, I never talked about this, but my doctrine, I don't know what it's called, but I picked it, and I picked it just for the spotting scope. That is the only reason I picked this doctrine, not for the elephant, not for the bombing run, although the bombing run was kind of a consideration when I picked it. It wasn't a big consideration. It was just for the spotting scope, because the spotting scope is so useful if you intend to build tanks. And I intended to build the Panther this game, so I figured a spotting scope would be really nice to have, especially because I don't want to lose my Panther and lose my AT and end up losing 2 Russians again, like a whole bunch of my previous games, because they have tanks and I don't have counters. So I really wanted to keep my Panther alive, and spotting scopes are a great way to do that. And look at my opponent here, hit the dirt with Pupeshkas. He's gone whatever doctrine that is. It's my favorite doctrine as well. Is that a satchel under my Panther? It sure was, and it took it down to half health. Oh my gosh. I actually didn't even notice that when I was playing. I'm just noticing it now. That was terrible of me. And oh my gosh, seriously, person? You're putting a T-70 in my base. I actually assumed that was not a very big deal because it's a T-70, it's not going to do much damage to base buildings. Turns out I was completely wrong. It does a lot of damage to base buildings, as we'll see in this game. I, in fact, almost lose because of the T-70. I'm not going to say if I end up winning or losing, but I almost lose to the T-70 is what I'm saying. I haven't yet spoiled if I win or lose this game. But as you can see by the minimap, I do have most of the map. I have successfully pushed back my opponent very far, all because of that one battle where his micro just seemed to go straight down the drain. So I am happy to be winning right now. I did end up retreating my 1 Panzerschreck squad, and they did make my they did make his T-70 retreat back away from my base, so that was good. And I really no, I was about to say I really should have kept a Panzerschreck squad in my base, but no, that would not have been a smart idea because that would have been such a waste of manpower and munitions. It would have practically did nothing most of the time, because my opponent didn't spend too much time attacking my base. He just attacked it every once in a while and caused me to almost lose because of the T-70. But at least I didn't, because of the T-70. My Panther is currently at like 2/3 health, looking at the right side, the top right of the screen. Getting repaired. That is good. Pioneers are repairing it. If you look at the top right of the screen, by the way, you can say I do have 3 Panzer Grenadiers and 2 Grenadiers, so I am building a lot more Panzer Grenadiers this game than I am Grenadiers, which is backwards from what I typically do in this game, because I realized how bad it was to build so many Grenadiers, because Panzer Grenadiers are just so much better against infantry, especially the kind of infantry my opponent's throwing at me, which is like guards rifles, and that's a satchel charge. Bye-bye, squad. Okay, then, he suicided. I was cracking up when he did that. I said, okay, then. Suicide satchel. Because that's what he did. He just suicided with his satchel. It was pretty funny. I thought it was funny. Yeah. But, what was I saying? Oh yeah, I'm building more Panzer Grenadiers because the infantry my opponent's throwing at me, they wouldn't win against Grenadiers, but Panzer Grenadiers would just own them, hopefully before he can even retreat the squad, which is why I built the Panzer Grenadiers. Also for the ability to have Panzerschrecks on the whim if I need them, as long as they have the 120 munitions that is necessary. Random fact that just popped into my head, by the way. I didn't actually know if the German squads were upgraded, the support squads, like the MG and the mortar, were upgraded to 4-man, or if that was like a bulletin or something. But since I've been playing the Germans for a while now, I have found out that it is in fact a patch to the game, and it was fully intentional, because mortars were insta-giving the squads. That is why, because mortars are OP. They're actually not OP anymore. They nerfed them, so I'm happy. They're not OP anymore. I am I'm happy with mortars now. I'm gonna stop claiming they're OP because they're not anymore. They used to be though. Even if you guys denied it, I don't care. They were OP, and they got nerfed because I was right. Told you so. I had to say that. So, if you look at the minimap, I am still winning. My opponent is capturing the left VP, but I'm still very much winning this game. And if you look at the top of the screen, my opponent has 23 victory points remaining in total, so he really needs that left VP, or the right VP, which he does have the right VP, so I guess the left VP or the middle VP. And he knows he's not going to get the middle. I am just protecting it so well, because that's just what I do on this map, on accident. I just happen to protect the middle so well. So my opponent's going for the left VP, which happens to be in my territory because I am focusing kind of on the left side, and as a result, I am going to go deal with him over there. So we will see me going after that VP once again a little bit later. But in my base, we can see that my opponent's T70 is once again annoying me in my base, and I figured it's not that big of a deal. But then he does kill one of my buildings, and it was luckily a building I didn't need. He didn't know that, and I was tempted to type to him, yeah, you can destroy that, I don't need it anyways. Same with that building he's attacking, I don't really need it anyways, I already have my Panther, and that's really all I wanted. Hopefully I don't lose the Panther and the building, because that would be very, very bad. To lose both of them. But you can destroy it, I don't need it anymore, I'm going to keep my Panther. So, I was tempted to type it to him, but I was just like, no, I'm not going to tell him I don't need that. I'm going to let him fire at stuff I don't need, because obviously that's going to help me. And the only reason I really would have told him that was to mess with his mind, like, oh my gosh, does he need it or not? He's saying he doesn't need it, but does he? Maybe he does. Maybe he just wants me to stop firing at it and he needs it. Maybe he really doesn't need it and I should fire at something else. Who knows? It was to mess with his mind. But, I had to mute my mic there. But, he does kill the building, and I don't end up telling him I don't need the building. But I do use a Panzerschreck squad to attack his T-34, not T-34, T-70. And he does back off once again. So that goes well for me. Panther's still alive, even though I did lose the building, Tier 4. That builds the Panther. Panther is still alive, so that is good. My opponent has 17 VPs left, 16 now. I have 2 of the VPs, the middle and the right one. I actually went over and captured the right one because I knew my opponent would not be protecting it. I have not attacked the right one in a long time. So I figured, hey, I should go attack it because he's not going to be there. He's going to be too focused attacking the middle and the left because he knows that I haven't attacked the right side in a long time. He thinks it's perfectly secure. He does not need to defend it, but little did he know that I was fully aware that I had not attacked it in a while. And so I went and attacked it, and nobody was there, so I got the VP. And now we have an SU-85 over here, and I have the PTRS AT rifle on my Panzer Grenadiers, because they picked one up that a Guards Rifle Infantry squad had dropped. And here I'm saying GG because it is the end of the game. I'm holding the right VP, I'm holding the middle one, I am attacking the left one, he has no chance. So that is the end of the game, I successfully won. So his SU-85 was totally useless, by the way, because it sucks against infantry. So don't build them. Don't send an SU-85 to go to the right VP when I have infantry there. It's not going to do you any good. It's not going to kill them. It's not going to kill the infantry. So don't waste your time doing that. But that was it. That was me winning the game. And before this game, before the video is over, I do want to show you guys the graphs that are shown at the end of every game that you play in Company of Heroes 2, because it was just hilarious how, or what the graphs looked like was just hilarious. Looking at my opponent's squads, he had a decent vet, he had an okay number of squads, but I definitely outnumbered him in terms of number of squads. And that's because of that one battle where his micro just went down the drain, and I had asked him what happened. And that one battle is what did him in, but overall in this game it did go back and forth, and you will definitely see that in the final graphs. He got careless and wanted to destroy my base. That's what he claimed. I don't know if that's quite true. I mean, he did attack me with a T-70, and if you look at the base here, I only have two buildings left, the HQ and Tier 2. He destroyed both Tier 1 and Tier 4 in that order, but luckily I didn't need Tier 1 or Tier 4, so I wouldn't say he really got close to destroying my base, but I did almost lose because of the T-70 if I had not countered it. And if I had not countered it, I guarantee I would have lost because of it. But I did luckily counter it twice. Both times he came into my base, but sadly he did kill two of my buildings. And then on the other hand, it was luckily two buildings I didn't need. So I think that's all I have to say for now. So let's go on to the graphs because they just looked funny. Okay, so the first graph is going to be army value. And this one, all three of them were kind of funny. But if you look at this one, it's basically the red and the blue line are exactly the same. They don't really differ that much. So both of us lost army value when we were in fights, and both of us gained army value once the fights were over. And it's just funny how we had pretty much the same exact graph. The only big difference is the one place where my mouse is in this still picture, because as you can see, I dipped down way low, but he did not. But then I dipped, or didn't dip, but I went really high after that compared to how low I was. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe that's when I built the third Panther. I'm not too sure. But he did a number on my army value there, whatever he did to do that. So I just thought that was funny, and the army value. So now let's go on to the second one, which is resource floating. Okay, so resource floating. As you can see in the middle of that game, my opponent floated a ton of resources. I mean, I also floated some resources at that point in time because I guess there was a big battle going on and neither one of us could really spend the time or remember to buy units or something. I don't know. But his resource float went skyrocketing in the middle of the game there. And remember that one spot in the middle of the game there when we go to the next points held graph. But if you also look at the very end of this graph, my resource float was climbing at the end. His dropped all of a sudden and then went really high. I don't know what's up with that. I mean, it obviously means he spent some manpower and stuff and he bought units. But then he suddenly started floating really high. I don't know if he was just like really focused on getting a VP or what happened there, but he was floating a number of resources towards the end there. So I don't know. Maybe I just gave up because I wouldn't blame him if he did. I was winning at that point. I had all three VPs secured. So yeah, I don't know what happened there, but just looked a little funny at the very end there. But remember the middle part of this graph where he had a resource float just skyrocket at around 2644, 20, or 3205, around that area. And now let's go on to the points held graph. Alright, here we are in the points held graph, and at first glance, you'll probably notice why this graph is funny. Just look at the lines. They are literally opposite of each other, like practically mirrored. As one goes up, the other one goes down. Except for in the beginning of the game, because obviously that's when everyone's capturing points. But other than the middle of the game, it's literally when one goes up, the other one goes down by the same amount. And that's even true in the very middle of that game, where you can see he had a high points held and I had a very low points held. And that's when he pushed me back pretty far into my base at that point where I only owned 3 territories, 3 points at that time connected to my base. So that was the lowest point for me, but then I managed to push him back all the way into his base towards the end of the game. And my territory points held never dropped below that 1 point where I had 3 points total. But yeah, this thing is just funny because literally we're mirrors of each other, which doesn't happen very often. I mean, it kind of makes sense when you think about it, because if one player doesn't have that point, surely the other player has it, but that's not quite true in most of my games. A lot of games, some points just go uncaptured. Like, a person will decap the point and then have to leave the area or something. But it's kind of funny how these are mirrors of each other. But one thing I do want to mention is that in the middle there, remember the big resource float my opponent had? It kind of matches up with the big territory hold my opponent had in the middle of the game. So he got overconfident right there. He started floating resources, he started playing lazily, and I want to tell you guys, Don't do that. It will lose you the game in Company of Heroes 2. In Company of Heroes 1, it was okay to start playing lazily if you had your opponent base pinned. Company of Heroes 2, you cannot do that because of all the comeback mechanics. You simply cannot do that. So that's one thing that really hurt my opponent in this game, was the fact that he started playing lazily towards the middle when he practically had me base pinned. So learn from it. Don't do it yourself, guys. So yeah, I just thought this graph was funny, and I wanted to teach you guys that one tip right there, in case you didn't already know it. But yeah, I think that's going to do it for this video. So I don't think there's anything else I need to say. Yeah, there's nothing else I need to say. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye, guys. This game is actually going to have an amazing ending. Um, the ending was just so close, and it's not victory point versus victory point. It's not like it was down to 5 victory points versus 5 victory points. Who's going to cap the